Because I love Australia, I have to tell the world what is happening here. It is not an exaggeration to say that we're heading down the path of dictatorship. People who disagree with the government are like sheep hunted by wolves. Protesters are shot at. The police come knocking on your door. Employers tell you to resign with severance or get fired without one. Now, what's happening? Let me list you some of the things. If you're not vaccinated, you lose your voting rights as a member of parliament. This is something unprecedented. I believe we're the first state in the history of the world, in the history of democracy. It's the first time where elected representatives cannot represent the people because they're part of the dissenting voice of the people. If you're not vaccinated here in Victoria, you can't work. It's the no jab, no job policy directive. What happens if you don't comply? $21,000 fine for an individual, $110,000 fine for a church or a business. These are absurd rules and arbitrary fines. They're cruel and they're unusual penalties for non-compliance. I think they're just designed to strike fear in the heart of people. Number 3, if you're not vaccinated, you can't shop, eat out, or get a haircut. And the rules are becoming stricter and stricter. As I say, they boil you slowly. They've already written down that eventually, if you're not vaccinated, you can't access all basic services until 2023. So this is the no shot, no shop. No shot, no shop. The fine again is $110,000 for the shop and $21,000 for the individual that doesn't comply. So by the very definition, the people now are slaves. You know, a slave is someone who needs permission to eat, to work, to worship, to travel, to shop, to get a haircut, to eat outside, to go to the gym, to travel. You need permission from a very overbearing state. Well, you say then just don't worry about it, get vaccinated. Okay, if you're vaccinated, you must check in using a QR code which allows the government to track you. Now, all businesses are being roped in to become part of the state's total digital surveillance apparatus. They want electronic record keeping by all businesses. Customers are to, quote, check in everywhere you visit using the Service Victoria app, no matter how long you spend at that location, close quote. Number 5, if you are vaccinated, you will soon have to use the EQR code every time you make a purchase. This way, nobody can, I guess, skip on being tracked. As soon as you spend or make a purchase, this EQR will automatically track both your spending and your location digitally. And it all gets reported. Number 6, all of this is leading towards implementing the Australian Digital ID system, which in my view is a totalitarian control over the states. Now some people, they don't believe all this. Even living here, it's kind of like the people in Germany. They didn't believe fascism. They didn't believe Nazism was going to murder, in World War II, 75 million people. Not just 6 million Jews, 75 million. They couldn't see it. They couldn't fathom it. And people went to the Olympics when Hitler, put on a show. And the description, when you watch like documentaries about World War II, is how often people say they were surprised by what Adolf Hitler did. So the people here doubt that this is going to lead any further. But in case you doubt that the goal is political control and not merely our medical welfare, on Tuesday, the 26th of October, 2021, the Premier of this state, Dan Andrews, tabled a law to give him permanent emergency powers. Okay, this is not like Star Wars and, you know, the Emperor getting emergency powers, right? I mean, it sounds like a movie. It sounds like the plot of a dystopian movie. This is real. He will be able, when this law passes, to declare lockdowns, impose fines, and impose jail time at his pleasure on political dissidents, anyone who disagrees with him. Normally, a bill would sit in Parliament for at least a month for debate, but 2 days later, it was tabled on the 26th. 2 days later, on the 28th, this bill has already passed the lower house. Now, how is it that they get away with this? Because, again, remember premise number 1 that I showed you. If you are not vaccinated, you cannot enter Parliament or even vote digitally. I mean, we have the internet, right? If you're going to exclude them because of health reasons, elected officials, you're going to exclude them from entering basically like the equivalent of Congress, you could say, okay, we're concerned about our safety, but you have a right to represent the people, so just press a button and send your vote in digitally. Nope. They made sure anyone who doesn't vax or disagrees with their policy cannot even vote. So they can push through, they can ram through things like permanent emergency power. And I'll give you a citation, I'll give you a secular news article that talks about it, because a lot of people don't believe. It's like living in Germany, and people don't believe what's happening and then the rise of Nazism. The ridiculousness of the fines knows no bounds. It reaches even to the children. If you don't wear a mask, the fine for children under 15 is now $181.74. I'm not sure what the 74 cents does, but you know, they make it very precise, I guess. The fine for children between the ages of 15 and 18 is now $726.96. Can you imagine that? Which 15-year-old is going to pay over $700 for not wearing a mask? And what has this got to do with health? Number 8, the government is turning every business and church into a branch of their digital surveillance. They are encouraging gyms, shops, and businesses to have snitches, what they call COVID marshals, to report a breach of emergency restrictions. And they say community members can raise concerns about compliance with directions through a police assistance line, a PAL. You can be a PAL. And they give the number. And I just find that amazing because every police person I've ever met is already overworked. Many times as a pastor, I've had to deal with people who have had break-ins or thefts. And the police either respond an hour later or don't even come. I mean, this is not once or twice. We've had a break-in as a church. We had over $20,000 of equipment stolen. The police never came. When we finally got to them, they took down a report, left. We never heard back. There's, you know, somebody's out there with church equipment and, you know, God will deal with them. But the police are overworked. So now you're going to make a special hotline for people to snitch on each other. What does that sound like to you? If you know anything about history, you know that that sounds like fascism. Now, number 9, the worst part of all this is actually not all the above. It's not the politicians, because all politicians want power and most of them want it indefinitely. That's no surprise to us. What is surprising to me as I live here and watch this is how willingly the average Australian complies with draconian measures